Hey guys, it's Miss Diaz, and I'm here to teach you about how to take Cornell notes the proper way. So we're going to start with the first assignment that you were given for Cornell notes, which was physical and chemical properties of matter. So this is kind of the whole idea behind Cornell notes is that you revise and go back and repeat looking at your notes so that way you remember better later on. And if you notice over here in the top left, there is a topic and an essential question, okay? I'm going to ask in just a minute. I'm going to show you a picture of my paper that I want you to set up the exact same way, okay? The essential question will vary from teacher to teacher, but it should pretty much be the same idea. Over here on the left-hand side of your notes are going to be questions that you're going to write. They should never be given to you by your teacher. You should write your own questions, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a few slides. Over here are where you're going to write all of your notes, okay? That also includes key terms and everything. It's not, vocab is not going to be over here, okay? If someone told you that vocab goes here and then the definition is here, they are wrong. These are where your notes go, okay? And the idea behind the 4 colors is that you are going to have evidence of repetition or showing someone else, like a teacher, that you went back and looked at your notes again. So the first color, you're going to take your notes, your pen or your pencil, whatever you were already using. The second color, you're going to underline, highlight, use symbols, anything like that. That shows me or your teacher that you went back and looked at it a second time. You're also going to abbreviate, and you can abbreviate in a different color. And you can also add to your notes. If you compare with another student after class, you can say, oh, I missed that. Let me add that. And I would add it in a different color so that you know you missed that during class and this was added information later. Go ahead and get out a sheet of paper and make it look just like this one. If you notice, over here is the topic, which is just physical and chemical properties of matter, which is what your reading is about. And then this is my essential question that I gave my class. Your teachers might be a little bit different, but the topic should be very, very similar. Make sure that you're also writing your name and your period over somewhere on the paper, and that you're drawing a line to divide your paper for questions on the left, notes over here, and a summary at the bottom. Okay, here is a picture of your reading that you are responsible for taking these Cornell notes over, and I want to call attention to something. When you're getting ready to take Cornell notes, or any notes for that matter, you should always look to chunk information. And what I mean by that is that you're going to look for anything that goes together. So something under a heading, like a paragraph over here, is going to be chunked together in your notes. And that kind of helps you organize your ideas in your brain while you're writing, so that way later you can remember, oh, all of these ideas go together. So let's pretend that you took your notes. These are my notes right here. And that you read the first section, physical properties, okay? So if you look here at my notes, what I wrote was the definition kind of a physical property. I got this from the paragraph. Notice I did not copy sentence for sentence from the paragraph. These are important concepts and key ideas. So it's going to be up to you to decide what is important. Your notes will not look the same as someone else's. So I have a general definition right here, and then I kind of organized my thoughts because the paragraph flowed in such a way that it divided physical property into 2 other things, intensive and extensive. And this is directly from your reading. So I wrote a definition here so that my eye could say, oh, intensive means this, extensive means this. And then in parentheses, I wrote some examples. You do not have to do it this way. This is just an idea of how to kind of chunk your notes. Notice the next thing, physical change, is the next chunk of information. I also want to point out that while I am taking notes, I am not writing anything over here on the left or on the bottom. That is for later, okay? If a teacher has you doing that at the same time, again, that is wrong. All of that you're responsible for while you're taking notes is everything in this giant right box. So after you're done reading the entire reading and going through all of the information, pretend that your notes are super long and amazing, because I know they will be. What you're going to do next is write your questions, okay? I did not finish out the notes for you because I want you to write your own notes. But I do want to talk a little bit about questions. Questions, like I said before, should be generated by you. They should never be given to you by your teacher. So I have some examples of a question you might come up with based on the notes on the right. So questions over here on the left should be able to be answered over here on the right. So for a chunk of information, such as this physical property, there should be a question that goes with it. So this is a very basic level 1 question, and I'm going to explain what that means on the next slide. What is a physical property? That very easily can be answered right over here with these definitions. A physical property is observed, and it's nothing new creative. Okay? A better question, if we wanted to up our level of questioning, would be something similar to this, and I went ahead and circled it over here in green. How does a physical property relate to a physical change? That's relating two pieces or two chunks of information from your notes. That is at a higher level. That requires a little bit more thinking. So an easy way to remember is that a level 1 question is going to be directly answered almost yes or no, word for word from your notes over here. And a level 2 question, you might have to do a little bit more thinking or searching. These are Costa's levels of questioning, and if you look down here, the first 4 are going to be your basic questions, which are necessary because you have to have the first floor of a house in order to have a second or a third, so don't think they're not necessary. We're just trying to move you guys in the direction of level 3 questions. The second floor is going to be processing information, where it takes a little bit more time and effort to come up with the answer, and the third floor is going to be creating, where you're hypothesizing, evaluating, predicting, things like that. These are some example words over here that could be used to make these kinds of questions. And if you look here at level 2 and think about my question on the previous slide, it said, how does a physical property and a physical change relate? So what I'm doing is comparing two things, whereas with the first question, I just said, what is a physical property, which is almost just reciting. So now let's talk about what you're supposed to do after everything on the right is completely done. So once you have all of your notes here, and we talked a little bit about questions, the questions and the summary need to be done after you're completely done with the reading and taking all of your notes. So then you go back and add your questions and your summary later. They really should not be done during class because the idea, again, with Cornell is repetition. So if you're doing it within 2 seconds of taking the notes, you're not repeating anything. You need to go home, have a whole day, eat lunch, hang out with your friends, whatever, then pull it out of your backpack and reread the information in order to generate these 2 questions and a summary. The summary should answer the essential question, okay? Remember, the essential question for me was, what are the differences between physical and chemical properties and physical and chemical changes? So my summary needs to be about 3 to 5 sentences in order to answer this essential question. It is not, today I learned, or what we did today was. If someone is telling you that, again, that's wrong. It needs to answer the essential question. If you answer the essential question in only 1 sentence, then you may also answer the questions you generated, because that should be a summary of your notes on the right-hand side.